Hi everyone, it's Eric from ecartman12.blogspot.com, and Apple's keynote has just finished, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what they have announced. Now, they basically announced 3 products, 2 of which are new iPhones, so that's all cool. So let's start off with the iPhone 6. I'm going to say I was actually quite intrigued by it at first until someone brought this to my attention, a friend actually. Here you go, let's just take a look at this photo. Okay. There you go, you can actually see that this iPhone has got specifications that we got in 2-year-old smartphones, and the Nexus 4 for that matter, the Nexus 4 which was basically gave you a lot for your money and was very, very cheap in price. That's what this basically compares to. So the iPhone 6 I think is really quite a redundant product. It's basically a couple years old, you gotta pay full price for it, and I'm honestly not interested. Really, I am not. It's basically got a great new design. Great design. I'm going to say that it's got a really nice design. It looks just like the iPod Touch 5th generation, and that's what I pretty much thought the next iPhone would be once that was released about a couple of years ago. And yeah, so it's great that they've got a great new design. The camera has supposedly been improved, although I do think megapixels don't make it, but I think they should start at least increase it to maybe about 12, 13 maybe, because megapixels can count if you want your image to be blown up and stuff. So that should have been done, but it's still going to be great, hopefully. It's got a new kind of focus going on as well, which I'm very curious to test out. And yeah, the iPhone 6 is pretty much that, although it's not the most interesting iPhone. Let's move on to the interesting iPhone. It's got, by the way, the iPhone 6 does have a 4.7-inch display, and it's the same Retina display that we got previously. No HD screen, so it's just basically the same Retina display, and I've always slated Apple for giving the same Retina display. They have recycled the same display for 4 years now. I am done with this same Retina display. So, let's move on to the actual iPhone, which I was impressed by, the iPhone 6 Plus. Now, the iPhone 6 Plus has got a 5.5-inch screen, and it's actually a 1920 by 1080p screen, so it's got a great resolution, and finally, Apple have given us a better screen. Their screens have been inferior in previous iPhones, and that is really, really bad. So, it's great that they finally caught up 4 years later. But it's got basically a better screen. It's supposed to have better battery life, although Apple always say better battery life and people still complain. I personally think the battery life on the iPhone is great. And yes, apart from that, what it's also got is a optical image stabilization on the video, whereas the iPhone 6 had digital image stabilization. So optical image stabilization is obviously much better. You can have much more smoother video when you're actually recording video or taking photos and stuff. Much more stable. And what it's also got is 500 times better graphics. Now, I personally don't care about the graphics because honestly, I don't play mobile games. I only do it for reviews or to test a smartphone's performance, but I never use mobile gaming. I never use my phones for that. So for those that do, great, you're in for a treat. But for people like me, I'm not into that at all. I'd rather play on my PS Vita or my 3DS or my Nintendo DS Lite or my PSP, or heck, even use my MacBook Pro to play games like Batman, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, etc. So that's the games I like to play when I do have time to play them. So yeah, the iPhone 6 Plus, I'm really quite impressed with it. iOS is still boring, so I don't think I'm going to switch anytime soon until Apple give me something new on iOS, to change the iOS operating system. But well done, Apple. The iPhone, you've really made it look really good. And I'm definitely going to be reviewing both these iPhones, make no doubt about it. And hopefully basically my opinions will change. But this is my impression so far. So, those are both the iPhones, and one last thing actually about the iPhone. Apple have finally brought out NFC, because they're going to do this new paying system. Now, 2 things. One, it turns out they finally realized their mistake. They should not have gone their own route. NFC is basically the way of the future. 2, those that do have Passbook on the recent iPhones, I feel sorry for them, really I do, because the Passbook is most likely going to be abandoned right now. NFC is basically going to be taking it over. So, yeah, that's basically the iPhone. And the iPhone 6 Plus is the only interesting one. So, now, let's move on to the iWatch. Okay, so the next thing that Apple announced was their Apple Watch. Now, strange name first of all, they should call it iWatch, iPhone, iPod, iPad, iMac, iWatch. It would have fit in. Now they're calling it Apple Watch. Like, why don't you just call it an Apple phone? An Apple Pad? It just makes no sense. So yeah, the naming was actually... Believe it or not, the naming was actually the worst part of the keynote, so that tells you, I think, Apple's keynote was actually really quite successful and really quite good. So, basically, I was very interested to see what Apple would bring to the table with their smartwatch, because I'm waiting for someone to take the smartwatch and revolutionize it, or basically take it to the next level, make it something that we need. Other smartwatches are out there, but they're really quite failing because there's no need for a smartwatch right now. So I want to see Apple's take on it, and I've got to say, it was very, very interesting to see what they announced. First of all, it's got a sapphire coating on the display. It's got a retina display as well. The design I wasn't too keen on at first on the wrist straps, but you know, you can get used to it, and they are coming out with 20 karat gold versions, although the pricing does increase, but we'll get to that later. And yeah, it does look very good. I really like the watch piece that is on the top. That watch piece you can see right there, that looks really neat and nice. That band I don't like the look of at all, but yeah, I would go with a much more nice looking one than that. But yeah, that is really, really good. And it can charge easily, but they did not mention the battery life of the watch, and that is very, very actually concerning. Because if Apple are not going to mention the battery life, most likely it's not something to shout home about, because normally if their battery was like amazing in it, they would tell us the battery life on this watch is amazing. But they didn't say that this time, so I'm very, very a bit skeptical about that. So basically the watch has various other features, so you can basically use it in your hotel, for example, and basically unlock your door. And you can also use it as a new paying system, because Apple got a new paying system out, which is interesting. Again, using NFC, so you know, you can swipe your watch to do the paying or something. And yeah, so there's various other things the watch can do. I'm not going to go into the full details right now. And yeah, that's actually quite interesting on the other stuff it can do as well. Downside though, and this is not just on Apple's watch, this is on all smartwatches. Why do I need to bother? Why do I need to pay for a smartwatch? Now, other smartwatches, I say, are really still overpriced and quite expensive. Boy, this one is like just taking the cake. I mean, we knew Apple would charge a lot for a smartwatch, but boy, about $350 for the base version. That's right, $350. And they go higher than that as well. So then there's even that 20 karat gold one I mentioned, if it's 20 karat or 24, whatever. Yeah, that one's a cost, I think, was it about $1,000 I've heard people say? I mean, wow, that is just so much money. And for $1,000 you can get you can get another iPhone, you can get a Mac. Why do you have to pay so much money for a watch? The smartwatches really have not convinced me yet. Even Apple's watch, even though it's got some really nice and innovative features, there is no need for a smartwatch. There really is not. And Apple have not changed my mind over it. Really, there is no need for a smartwatch. So, Android Wear ones I think are really quite pointless so far. The Apple Watch is really quite pointless, although they can throw a lot more resources at it, like they partner with Nike and various other companies, so they can do very interesting stuff. I mean, they even partnered with Fitbit. They can do very interesting things here. So it has got potential in the future for, you know, to probably be your all-in-one sort of like smartwatch. But thing is, the price they really need to drop. I know Apple don't do this, but they really should drop the price down because the price is way too high. And yeah, so that's really my thoughts on I'm going to call it an iWatch. Apple Watch is a dumb name. That's my thoughts on the iWatch. The iPhone 6 Plus is great. The iPhone 6, don't care about it at all. But yeah, everything else I'm really, really impressed by. iOS does not do it for me, but again, I'm going to have to basically try it out when I get it in as a review unit, so then I can see if it proves me wrong. I hope it proves me wrong. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff that has come from Apple. The iWatch, I think, is still, you know, needs much more usability than this, because I mean, us as a human race have failed if we cannot just reach out into our pockets and take out our smartphones, because everything the watch can do, your smartphone can do. And yeah, this event has been a good one for Apple, definitely, but I'm looking more forward to the next Google event, because that is when they're going to announce the Nexus 6, hopefully. And if the rumors are true and it's made by HTC and they give it the boom sound speakers and the full-on HTC treatment, which I hope they do, go all out with this last Nexus phone before they release Android Silver. So, yeah, I'm personally looking forward to that, and that's where my money is most likely going to go as my next smartphone, because I've been holding on to this my current smartphone about 3-4 years now. So yeah, very interesting event from Apple. Nothing I would personally get. And what I would advise to you guys, if you wanted to get an iPhone, it does come in a 16GB, a 64GB, and also a 128GB capacity. I would suggest that you go with the iPhone 6 Plus, because that's where the true iPhone upgrade is. The iPhone 6 kind of reminds me of the iPhone 5C in a way, whereas kind of like last year's phone, but they have added new up-to-date features to it. But still, like I said, like my friend showed me, and I've just showed you guys, 2-year-old smartphone. I mean, seriously, they've got to do better than that. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. Please let me know in the comment section below what you thought of Apple's event. Was I too hard on it, or do you agree with me? By all means, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just let me know in the comment section below with your thoughts. And if you like this video, please click that big subscribe button you can see below me right now. And also, you can follow me on my social networks and ask me questions there. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. Or, as always, shoot a question down in the comments below and I will answer it as soon as possible. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and I'll see all of you next time. Take care.